Okay. So you all know what SEO is, don't you? Or does anybody need an explanation for it?
No,
You don't know. Okay. So SEO stands for search engine optimization. So they are the words that somebody would type into a Google search bar to find someone that does what you do. Okay, that's it. And those words that people are typing into Google are the words that you should be focusing on. They should become your focus keywords. All right, does that make sense so far?
Did you do that against my head shake?
I did.
Because my head shake was, no, I don't need to know. Sorry.
No problem.
Apologies.
Hey, that doesn't matter. That's fine. So
do you need to know? No.
No. Do you know? Okay. Well,
You've just purchased a house at £2 million, by the way, Peter, by moving your head in the auction.
Yes.
All right. So what you want, I mean, obviously from my point of view, I would love to be top of Google for the term social media. I'm a realist and I know that's never going to happen because my competition is 7,170,000,000 results that have come up in 0.5 of a second. It'll be the similar for you. Yeah, 12,490,000,000 results in
typical case of David Lawson comes up.
He's paying to be there. Now,
yeah,
with that in mind, so far as Google AdWords are concerned, I'm completely against them. And the reason I'm against them is because for the past couple of years, whenever I've held workshops at the Business Factory, I'd say to people, what do you do when you do a search on Google? Do you click on the first thing that comes up that's got ad next to it? Or do you go down and look for the first free listing? They all bypass the ads and go to the free listings. So that's why the SEO on your own websites is so important. People know that the chances are what comes up here as an ad isn't going to be appropriate to you. You know, you'll find that somebody in London, for example, has paid to be in the top spot for photographer Newcastle. Don't know why they paid for it. They've obviously managed their ads badly, but that's what's happening. Okay, so you are better off working on your natural SEO. And instead of thinking, I want to be top of Google as a photographer, I want to be top of Google for, let's have a look at Cake Smash. We'll do Cake Smash Heaven. I'm going to pick on Judith because she's easy to pick on. Cake Smash Heaven. Well, there she is, because she's got a Google listing. She's first up on the map. And as we go down, look, they're all her images that are appearing. And there's her website, top of Google for that term. That's what you've got to look for. The main things that you want to be found for on Google. All right, so you're going to want to include location. You're going to want to say more than just photographer. I'm assuming that she'd come up now for photographer. Heaven. There again, yep, there she is, right at the top of Google. But if she wanted to be, say, photographer in Newcastle, then we've got the different maps. And let's go down. She's not there at the moment, not on page 1.
Can I get on page 1 for Newcastle?
Well,
if you put pet portrait photographer Newcastle, I did come up because I'd done that on that workshop with you.
Yeah.
But I might have dropped off by now.
Well, we covered during this, Amanda. I set my website up 10 years ago, and it's an off-the-shelf from Online Picture Proof, and they were really good at setting my SEO up for wedding photography. I can't get it off now. It always comes up as wedding photography. So the other bits of photography I do are swamped by the brand, unfortunately. Will we be able to cover some of that during today?
Well, I don't know the particular SEO pack there is on your website. So can you get into all areas in the back end of your website, Peter?
What they seem to do is to create a page with the keywords on, which if Google then picks up and runs with.
Okay, well, I'm going to show you how to override that then.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
Yeah, okay. There you are, pet portrait photography, Newcastle.
Yeah.
Judith, yep. So you are on page 1, just 3 down. All right, so what you must do is think about the search terms that your potential clients are going to put into Google to find you. So I went with social media training, Northeast. Let's try that one first. And my competition was 1,100,000,000. And we've got add, and there's me. Okay, so I chose lots of different terms that I wanted to be top of Google for. And then I made sure I incorporated it, not just into my website, but also within my tweets. And I also let Google know about it by registering the page and the update on my Google console. How many of you are actively using a Google console?
I've
No.
never heard of it.
Yeah.
Never heard of it.
I've got it. I don't understand it.
Okay.
Yeah.
They've changed it so it's not quite as easy as it used to be. But right, let's start with your website. Now, my website's going to be different to yours unless you're using WordPress. I've got a WordPress website, and I use a plugin on it called SEO by Yoast, which is down here. So any of you who have got WordPress websites would be able to install this plugin, and it will really help you. I've still pulled mine up though, even though I imagine it's different to many of yours, because it's a procedure. And what I do is I teach what SEO Yoast is looking for, because it's the same on everybody's webpage, whether you're using WordPress or not.
Amanda?
Yeah.
Can I just hop in on that one? Because I've just had all my websites redone during lockdown. And my website designer's been using Elementor to build the site.
Yeah.
And Yoast isn't compatible with Elementor. So we've had to go with something called Rank Math, which is brilliant. It just plugs straight into the Elementor process. But it is the same, and it pulls in all the Yoast SEO stuff anyway, if you've already got it on an old website, for instance.
Right. Okay, yeah, I mean, that's absolutely fine. To be honest, it's the procedure you do on each web page and each blog you do that matters, whether or not you've got SEO by Yoast or any other plugin, to be honest. It's just making sure you've got things in the right place.
Yeah, okay.
So I'm going to teach you it from a blog perspective, but this is the same for every single one of your web pages. Okay, so if I thought having a right old moan in the corner this morning, let's have a look. So here's all my posts. And you can see, because I've got the plugin built in, it's showing me down here all the blogs that I've optimized. They've all got green lights on them. And the idea is that somebody can go to Google and you can see that one's been optimized there with a focus keyword, LinkedIn training, Northeast social media, so that when somebody goes to Google and types in LinkedIn training Northeast, hopefully I come up, oh yeah, there I am. So I am top of Google for that now. And that's just from writing that blog. All right. Will you stop your moaning? Thank you. I think he might be joining us. Hang on, let's get it over and done with. Just say good morning to Thor. There we go.
Oh my God. He's as big as you.
I know, he is. All right, sweetheart. He gets involved in every single webinar now, don't you? Yes, you do. Good boy. Down you go then. Go and get yourself some water and go to sleep. Right, okay. Don't growl at me. Okay, and he's still rubbing on my toe. Right, so let's see if there's one in here that I could optimize. Not really. You can see through the list of my titles over here on my blog, you can see which ones I've written purely for SEO compared to those that I've written for information. So that was an informational one. So was that. That one was written for optimization. That was for just information. That one was written for optimization. Yep, so you can see the difference, can't you? Some of them I'm thinking search terms on Google, and other times I'm doing things. So this one here is a question that loads of people were asking at the time, so I did a blog about it. But yeah, so you can tell the difference between them there. What you should be aware, I'm going to open this door for him to be quiet down. What you should be aware of is every single one of your pages, every single blog you write should have a different focus keyword. All right, they mustn't be the same. You must have different focus keywords. You should only ever use a focus keyword on your website once. Okay?
So can a focus keyword be, is it just one word, or does it, or can it just be a sentence?
Yeah, absolutely. So if I go into, I'll go into this one. So on this, because every blog you write is a new page on your website. That's how you've got to look at it. It's just a page. So you can see here, the title of the page is my focus keyword. All right, so I wanted to be top of Google with LinkedIn training with Northeast social media. In actual fact, a better heading for that would have been LinkedIn training Northeast, because I've actually complicated the matters by using the word with. That isn't a good thing to have in your title. All right, you don't want things like, stop words they're called, where the Google search worm is looking for that phrase, which is the focus keyword you put in, and you're stopping it by using words like and in and with. All right, so it's not a particularly good example. Well, what you've got to make sure is your focus keyword, or your focus key phrase, if you want to call it, is the title of your page. It also must be in your permalink, in the URL that links people to this page. Someone's typing away.
Sorry. Sorry.
So it must be your title, and it must be in the URL. Okay. It also, that focus keyword needs to be a tag behind the images that you upload.
Right.
So you can see when you're uploading images on your website, you're given the option to add an alt tag or alt text or alternative text. They're called all different things, but it's the same thing. It's an alt tag. And what you do is make sure your focus keyword is there on your image as well. That's really important.
Was that in the alt tag, Amanda?
Yeah.
Yeah.
In alt tag. You then make sure that you're using your focus keyword as your headings. So you need it as a heading 1 on the page. You also need computations of it as headings 2. You need words that you don't need it incomplete. It doesn't need to be the full focus keyword with a bit added on each time. It can be variations of it. So you can see my LinkedIn account has been hacked. Again, it's got the word LinkedIn again in it. And the back of this image will also be an alt tag. This one is actually settings and privacy on LinkedIn. Again, getting the word LinkedIn there. I've already used my full alt tag on the main image. I could have done it again, alt tagged it, LinkedIn training with Northeast social media, comma, settings. That's what I could have put on the back of this one if I'd wanted to. So you make sure you've got it in your subheadings. You make sure you've got your alt tags on there. You also need to make sure that you've got the words within your paragraphs. And what Google is looking for is actually that focus keyword should be in full in the first sentence of your first paragraph. Okay, so just to recap so far, we've picked a focus keyword and that becomes your title. You then make sure it's at least your heading 1, your heading 2, and your heading 3, or a variation of it for your heading 2 and 3 on the page. And you know how to change things into a heading, don't you? You would highlight the words, and then up the top here, you would, good one, Amanda. Where are we hiding it? There we go. You'd click here and you'd actually label it as a heading. It doesn't mean just typing it in bold and putting a line underneath it. You need to physically label the words as headings. Okay? This blog needs to be a minimum of 300 words. Either this blog or this web page. Every web page, every blog needs a minimum of 300 words. Okay? You will also need links. Every single web page, every single blog that you write needs to have an in link. I think we mentioned it last week, didn't we? So, or last time. So an in link is something linking within the text from this page of your website to another page. So you can see here, I put here, feel free to sign up on my website to receive your free social media tips and updates. I've put a link on that. Oops, I've jumped all over the place. And when people go to that, it takes them through to that page of my website. All right, so I don't need to open it in a new tab or anything like that because I'm keeping them on my website. You also need to have an outlink. And you can see I've got two there. One going through to Facebook and there's another one going through to Twitter. They're the easiest ones to put on. Do let me know on Facebook or Twitter, or you could say things like, have you connected with me on Facebook? It would be great to see you over there as well, and put a link to Facebook. That's taking people from your website to another website. That's a good outlink.
Sorry, Amanda, what's the driver for having those links in the if you wrote the page without any links, what would Google do to it?
Well, it just means it's a static page that's not doing an awful lot. Okay. At the end of the day, Google want to see websites that are being updated, but also that flow, that create activity on Google.
Okay.
So if you're producing this web page, which is taking people to another page of your website, which is encouraging them to stay on it for longer, to flick through your different pages, and they can go from one to another through your text, you're making Google happy.
Okay.
And if you're creating these strong outlinks from your website to somebody else's website, they love that too, because that shows this is a good interactive website that's linking up with these other websites.
Okay.
Okay. It just means you're ticking the Google box and you're making this website so much more powerful. Okay. Sorry?
Can I clarify something? I had my website looked at a couple of months ago, and it was criticised because it was too wordy. But now you're saying everything needs 300 words minimum.
Yeah.
It suits me.
Yeah.
But not against the advice I was given.
Okay. Well, Google needs to see those words and read those words to be able to direct people to you. So from a user experience, you don't want too many words, but from an SEO perspective, to get people to find you and onto your website in the first place, you need those 300 words. And actually 300 words is only a couple of paragraphs.
Yeah.
What you must remember though, is when you're writing these 300 words, you've got to think about readability. And that is the ease of which people can read this website from a mobile phone. Okay, so for people to be able to read it from a mobile phone, you're going to need to put in a lot of white space. You'll have a lot of short sentences. You can see here how there's big gaps between I've got no more than 2 sentences in a paragraph, and then I'm sticking in a white line to make it easier for people to read it.
Okay, thanks.
Wasn't there once a rule, Amanda, that a sentence had to be no longer than 170 characters or something?
Well, it's 20 words it's based on. So sentences need to be less than 20 words. All right. We'll go into that. We'll go through their readability section. So
could you summarize what your page wants to do and then put more detail underneath in order to fill out the words, or is that?
well, you could do, but it is only 300 words.
Yeah, I
It's
think
only 2 paragraphs.
Yeah, you're right. It's not very many, is it?
Unless you're a Geordie, then it's 900.
So I'm just going to go through that list again. So here's my section at the bottom, my SEO by Yoast section, and whatever SEO you have on your website will work along the same ways as this. So I can see down here, this is what I love about Yoast, is it talks you through how to do this. So if you didn't, so this one here, key phrase in slug, what that means is that it's within that URL. So you've created that URL, and normally your software will translate that here to the slug, just putting a hyphen in between each word. All right, and the slug again are the controlled focus keywords that Google is going to be looking at. By you telling Google that that's your slug, or they're your slug words, that's what Google are going to find. So it tells me down here, the key phrase is in my slug. The SEO title is a good width. You don't want them too long. And it's telling me the key phrases in the title. It's showing me my text is 366 words, and it says, good job. I wish it put Amanda on the end of there. Good job, Amanda. It would warn you if it was under 300 words. Anything over and they're happy. The image alt attributes are on. So my focus keyword has gone into that alt tag.
Is that a function of WordPress or the...
That's every website, Peter. Every website when you upload your images and you're using that image on a page, you will see that there is a box there.
No. What I meant was the things you're referring to at the moment, that's got a good job, the exact actual phrase, those responses are coming from the plugin you're using, or from WordPress?
They're coming from the WordPress plugin I'm using.
Okay, cool.
Okay,
yeah.
But it's the same concept. Even if you didn't have an SEO pack on your website, it would be the same concept.
Sure.
Okay. So you can say here you've not used this key phrase before, because Google does not like you using the same key phrase on different pages. Meta description length. The meta description is up here. They are the words that appear next to the link to this page from Google. So the things to remember in your meta description, you should always go in and edit this because it will be blank otherwise. You go in and you start it with your focus keyword. Then all you need to do is come up to what you've written, copy your first sentence, paste it into your meta description, and then just start arrowing back until this line goes green, because you don't want it to cover more than 2 lines. Okay, so if you haven't got something that guides you, just think, I know this meta description cannot go on any longer than maybe 1 3/4 rows. and you just arrow back and you put ... In other words, read more. Okay. And we've key phrase density. I've used it 3 times. They're happy with that because I've made the 3 subheadings. Any more than that, and maybe start saying, hang on a minute, you're overusing it. So don't use it any more than 3 times in its exact form. And all your other headings should be just sort of variations of it. And then it's showing me, look, you've done your internal links. You've done your outbound links. All right, so everything I've just run through with you there is in this list. The only other thing to look at then, like we've mentioned before, is your readability. And you can see this one isn't perfect. I just left it on OK on Amber. What it's looking for a start are transition words. Now this I find really hard. The fact that you're being told to make your sentences less than 20 words, yet they want transition words in your sentences. And by transition words, I mean words like, where are we? We've got some examples here. There we go. Yeah. First of all, also, another, furthermore, finally, because, similarly, likewise, words like that, they want within your text. Because they believe it makes it easier for people to understand and read if you have these transition words in there. Okay, so it's looking at things like consequently and therefore and above all and so on. It's also looking for, there we go, it says here, none of your paragraphs are too long, great job. That's because none of them are more than 2 sentences. And those 2 sentences, most of them are actually, there we go, it's warning me there that 44% of my sentences contain more than 20 words. So I can go up here and have a read through and see which sentences I can make shorter. So you can see this sentence here is too long. That's more than 20 words. So we would say, so if you think your LinkedIn account, so has your LinkedIn account been hacked? Do you just want to check it? Keep your account nice and tidy, full stop.
You've got wanting there, mind.
Here's how.
Do you just wanting?
There we go. Thanks, Judith. So down here now, that will have updated that when I've clicked on the update button. There we go. That's taken it down to 33%. So another, so if I go and edit another sentence and shorten that into shorter little sentences, it's going to be more than happy with me and prefer that. It's also wanting me to use more of a passive voice. Is that going to highlight it for me? No, not on here. So by passive voice, what it's looking for is there we go. Instead of saying a book is bought by me, you say I buy a book, or a book is being bought by me, I am buying a book. So that's what it wants you to bring in, some more sort of passiveness about, you know, if you're talking about your clients and so on, it just wants you to change slightly the emphasis on what you're putting to make it more passive. Actually, less passive it's wanting here. Oh, sorry, I'm confusing myself now. It wants it as less passive. You're all looking at me blankly. I don't blame you. It's just the way we word things.
Just buy it.
Just slightly. Let's see if I can change it. If you have a cloud, actually I should update this. Cloud doesn't exist anymore. So that's got the right emphasis on it. You will have clicked other links. It'll like that kind of set of text in it. This will bring you to your settings page. That's been written in the right way, rather than when you click on this, you go to your settings page. By changing it to this will bring you to your settings change, it's removing the passive voice. All right, there's an example of that. So you need to go, basically what will happen is if you start practicing these things, you'll end up just writing in 20-word sentences without the passive voice. It's amazing. Once you get into the swing of this and rewriting things and knowing what it is Google's looking for, you'll just start thinking like that. But what you need to do is, once you've optimized these pages and you've got them set out in such a way that Google is going to be able to read it easily, and they're going to be happy that when people find it on a mobile device, they're going to be able to read it easily. What you then need to do is head on over to your Google console and tell Google that you've done it. So you would, let me get into the right account. There we go, that one there. You should all have access to this, which is your Google console. And on your Google console, you set up your domain so that you can come to it and search your property on here. When you first set it up, Google will give you a bit of coding that needs to be put into your website. Or
is this separate from the Google page that you have as a business?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so you've got your Google business page, and I mean, it gives you some of the information the same that you get on that page, but this is your Google console. And this is where, whenever you've created a new page and you've optimized it and you know it's good to go, this is where you tell Google about it. So you don't have to wait weeks, months, potentially years for Google to come across and find that page. You're telling them straight away it's there.
Isn't that what submitting a site XML thing is for, though?
Yeah, so you do that in the first instance, but
Yeah.
then each time you add to your website or
Right.
you optimize a web page, so in effect you've changed it, you need to ask Google to go and have a look at it again.
Oh, okay.
So this is what Peter needs to do. He needs to get onto his website and he needs to change the focus so it's not just wedding photography on every page. He needs to decide on his focus keyword for a particular page, for a particular service. He needs to make sure that focus keyword is in his headings on that page, make sure it's in his that he's covered all those things that we've just talked about for SEO. And then he's got his alt tags on his images and his in links and his out links. And when he's done that, he comes back here, copies and pastes the link to that page. So let's see if I can find one I might not have done. So if we went to, I haven't done this one for a while. To say I'd done a load of updates on this page, or this is my new blog that I'd written, I would copy that link at the top here, the URL. I would take it into my Google console and I would say, inspect that for me, please. And it's confused as to, oh, I know what it is. So when I put that in, it needs, I need to put www in there. So now it's retrieving that data from Google's index. And it's telling me that URL is not on Google. So I click the button to request indexing. Now I know that that means within the next sort of 24 hours, my website is going to come even higher on Google for that search term. Because I know that page is set up correctly. I know it's optimized. I know it's got everything Google's looking for on it. And I've just reminded Google that it exists by indexing that page.
So I'm going to throw in a really weird question here, Amanda. If
Yeah.
you do all this for landing pages and various other things similar, for ClickFunnels and different things like that, does this help your coverage if you run like lead ads, lead generation ads and things like that? So does SEO help your advertising?
I don't think this is going to work on lead pages, Alan.
Right,
I
that's
think
fine.
this is more than the pages that are there to stay.
That's fine. That was a clarification more than anything else, Amanda.
Yeah. This is for the main body of your website that's there all the time, that you should be updating on a regular basis, and you certainly should be blogging on it at least once a month to improve your SEO. Google don't like websites that are static. All right, they like websites that are being constantly updated and tweaked and kept modern. So something Peter was saying earlier on about his website being that old, he absolutely needs to check that there is a mobile version of his website, that it doesn't just shrink down, there is brilliant, that it doesn't just shrink down to the screen, but there is a proper mobile version of his website. Otherwise, his website is going to drop off Google. The other thing you've all got to make sure you do is you need to make sure that your websites are secure, that you have SSL certificates. The way you'll know is when you go on your website, it should have a padlock next to your URL. If it's got a padlock, then you're fine, you're safe. If it hasn't, it'll tell everybody it's not secure, and most browsers won't let people open your website without confirming that they're happy to continue, even though it's unsafe. And the normal user wouldn't do that. They'd worry about going on a website that isn't secure. Now, if you're not taking payments through your website, your SSL certificate can be one of the freebies. You might be able to get a free SSL certificate. But the minute you start to take any form of payment on your website, you need a better version and a more secure SSL certificate. All right, so you'll need to do your research on those. But that's all it does, is it changes your HTTP to HTTPS. And of course, when that happens, your whole web, all your web links change. So again, you've got to make sure you go and tell your Google console. Tell them you're secure. Tell them to go and look at these new links now. But obviously do it in a gradual way. Don't go and index everything at the same time. Just index a couple of things. Let those be indexed by Google, then pick the next thing. So take your time doing it. If you've never set up your Google console before, if you're setting them up now and you think, right, I'm going to register all my pages, but do it gradually. Do the work on the pages first. Make sure they're optimized for SEO. Make sure you've got all those alt tags on, those in links, those out links, and then one at a time, ask Google to index it for you.
Amanda?
Yeah.
The alt tags, I understand what you're saying about using your focus keyword, but when I looked up alt tags, it says you have to imagine that the photograph, or has to be viewed by somebody that can't see it, and you have to describe what the photograph is. So I've been systematically going through mine, going, beautiful lady laying on a bed, or whatever it is for boudoir, or child hugging dog,
But if you're then inserting that image onto your page, it also needs a focus keyword on it.
So can you put the focus keyword on as well as the description of what the photograph is?
Absolutely. So you could say you were doing a photography page and it was called Boudoir Photography Swindon, for example. You type in Boudoir Photography Swindon, comma, beautiful lady lying on a bed.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Perfect. Thank you.
Yeah. So, come on then, questions.
Yeah, well, it's never a beautiful man lying on the bed, is it? Anyway, move on.
In my dreams.
Alan, if you ever want a boudoir shoot.
Yeah.
No, I didn't. No, I knew I'd said the wrong thing. And I knew it.
I'll come
You
and
once
rub
had
him
a
down
fairy
with oil.
shoot.
Look, move
Yeah.
on, please.
You
This
once had a
conversation-
fairy shoot, didn't you?
Yeah, okay.
Boudoir?
Judith, move on.
Boudoir.
Move on.
Hairstylist wouldn't have much of a job.
Move on.
Good job, my webcam's off then.
Oh, look, he's getting all embarrassed.
That's why you're not haven't got a camera up, isn't it, Andrew?
No, not at all.
Come on, questions for Amanda, please.
I've got one, Amanda.
Yeah.
Okay, so I've just gone on to the Google Search Console, and it's asking me to copy the text into the DNS configuration. So how would I find that? I've got a WordPress site.
Right, but that's not on your website. If you're changing the DNS configuration there, so that is wherever your website is hosted. So for me, my website's hosted with TSO host. So I went into my control panel and I went into the DNS settings and I added it there. So I don't know who hosts your website for you.
It's Devon Webs, Sam Rudd.
See, that's just an agent, isn't it? They're not actually your host. But if they're looking after it for you, then the thing you do is you send them that bit of code, and you say to them, "Can you change my DNS settings to include this, please?" And let me know when you've done it.
Lovely, thank you.
Yeah, you are warned, by the way. I mean, Google are a bit naughty, and I took that code the other day and pasted it into the settings to change the settings on a web host. And what it did was knock the company's emails off, because it decided in its wisdom to override the email setup that we had, which was this client happened to receive all their emails via Outlook, and overrode it to say, here's the code. Yes, they're in control of this website. And by the way, they're going to use Gmail now. All right, so just be a little bit careful with it. You might need to speak to your hosts on the chat support and ask them to fix the coding for you first. Bit naughty of Google.
I've got a question for you, Amanda. Keywords. You know, when you do a WordPress page, and right at the bottom, you've got your where you put your title and your keywords. How many keywords is a good figure? Can you have too many?
Yeah. So are you talking about keywords, Judith, or are you talking about tags on the bottom of your page?
No, keywords.
One focus keyword per page. So wedding photographer, Hebburn, is a focus keyword.
Okay.
Pet photographer, Gateshead, is a focus keyword.
So do you just have one of them?
One focus keyword per page, but you can add the other keywords as tags. So I'll share my screen again for a second.
So are you basically saying that blog should be small?
Blog should be 300 words.
Yeah, so more of them to include more keywords. So you get...
Yeah, totally. What you need to do is you start by deciding on the main term that you want to be top of Google for. So for me, it was Northeast Social Media. All right, so I called the company Northeast Social Media, and because the words Northeast Social Media are in my URL, straight away I came top of Google for it. But that's why I picked that company name, to be top of Google for that search term. I then used the keywords social media Northeast. Same words, different order. That became my next focus keyword. Same thing happened, I worked on it, got this page top of Google. Then I started looking at other things. So I wanted to be top of Google for social media training Northeast. And there I am underneath all the ads. I wanted to be top of Google for LinkedIn training Northeast. And there I am.
And so these are all
They were my
separate
separate
blogs.
Yeah. Separate blogs or separate web pages. Some of them are web pages, some of them are blogs. Yeah. Yeah. And that's it. It really is. That's it. So what the hardest thing is to decide on the focus keyword, because it's not necessarily what's going on in your head. It's the words that people are typing into Google, and there's a difference. So the best thing you can do is ask your existing customers. It's a good social media post. If you were searching for a company like me that provides the services I do, and you'd never heard of me, what would you actually be putting into Google to find me? And they're your focus keywords. So sorry, Judith, back to your tag words.
I think you're talking about something different there. Can you go back to your dashboard on your website?
Yeah. Where do you want me?
Can you click on your pages?
On pages.
So you know when your list comes up?
Yeah.
I can't see because I've got them photo things on that side of the page. So on my website, where it's got author is me, but like then down like under where your date is, I have a list of like keywords that's been
All
put
right.
on
Okay.
the bottom of each page.
Right. Yeah, that's fine. For my website, they're called tags.
Right.
So it's the same thing. So you've got your main focus keyword, just one focus keyword per page.
Yeah.
But then you can add, so for me, because this is all changed, featured in discussion. Have they taken tags off mine? Yeah, they've taken it off this, I think. There we go. There's my slug. Quite often you'll find it over on the right-hand side where it'll say tags. And that is literally where you can put a list with commas in between of the different keywords that you want.
That's the one that I'm meaning.
Yeah, that's fine. You've still got your one main focus keyword. So that's the one you're using in your titles, your URL and your headings and everything else. But then, yeah, by all means, add the others to it as well.
So, you know, if I was to say put pet photographer Newcastle.
Yeah.
And then changed it to Newcastle pet photographer. Does that hamper each one, or is that all right as long as you change it round? Is there too many you can put in there?
What, into that little list box? No.
Yeah.
No. But they're not main focus keywords. They're called tags.
Right. So using the word photographer in say 10 different phrases, that doesn't take one away from the other. Like it's all right to do that. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Amanda, I just looked up Yoast and it's at £180 per month. Do they do a...
I've never ever paid for it, Peter. I have the free version.
You can get a free one, can you?
Yep.
Okay, good.
I've never ever had to pay for it on any of the accounts I use.
Good.
Yeah. Yeah. So, any more questions? I've done your heads again, haven't I? I'm good at this.
The questions will come as we try and do it, I think.
Well, I'm doing it as we're talking.
I can see Sharon is going, that's that bit's done.
Yeah, brilliant.
Can I just jump in and say something here, because Amanda was supposed to say this the last time and didn't, okay? But Amanda is a specialist in what she does. I've used Amanda for about 10 years and I wouldn't go to anybody else. She's absolutely brilliant at what she does. She does run what she calls a social media essential school. It costs £20 a month. But each week you can do like a live questions and answers with her on a Wednesday morning, and each week it's something different. There's a page on Facebook that you join, and has it been going for about 12 months now?
Yeah, about that. In fact, we bought the company, myself and Karen, I think it was back in 2011. We were going to build an online training platform for it. But every time we finished the training videos, it was out of date. So what we did was create this Facebook group instead. And as Judith says, every Wednesday, We go live in the group, and one week it'll be training, one week it'll be Q&A, another week it'll be letting you know the changes in social media, and we always have an accountability session as well. And yeah, membership's £20 a month, and there's all kinds of other videos and stuff in there that you can use to make sure you've got all your accounts set up properly. But if you have a look at a website called thesocialmediaangels.com.
I can see 7 people Googling it.
Oh, lovely. Yeah, thesocialmediaangels.com, that tells you everything that's included. There's no contract. If you don't like it, you can leave after the first month if you want to. You set all the payments up, the £20 a month. Most people just do it through PayPal, and you're in complete control of it, so you can come into it and leave when you're ready to. But I must say, I think one person so far has left. And I think that was because they only used LinkedIn. So when all the other stuff that we were teaching about Facebook and Twitter and Instagram and everything else just wasn't appropriate to them. But everybody else has stayed in the group since they joined. But do by all means have a look at it and see if it will help you with yours. But the lives are good fun, aren't they, Judith?
Yeah. But just to give you a bit of an idea, is Amanda does this workshop, which I've been on once, and she actually charges over £150 for you to attend it. So I just wanted to make you aware of how sort of valuable getting Amanda's time to do these workshops for us, because she's not doing them free, but I mean, that's down to me.
When we're out of isolation, Judith will be there with her camera. Yeah, I've got some workshops coming up as well, actually. So I'm doing a Facebook advertising one, an Instagram one, and you lot won't need the Canva workshop, that's for sure. But I'll pop a quick link through in the chat box so you can see the sort of things I do. And again, normally on workshops, if it was like for a group of people, I charge £75 a person. But for these ones, because we're all stuck in lockdown and everyone's income's been affected.
We're broke.
Yeah, exactly. I'm putting them on for £25 a head. I'm just trying to find where we are. There we go. So there's the link.
Can you send that
there
link?
in the chat box?
Yeah, send that link to Judith as well, please, Amanda, so she can put it on our page.
Yeah, lovely. Brilliant. But yes, I hope you found that useful. Just don't be frightened by it. I mean, I remember when I first started in business years back in Gateshead, there was one company who dealt with SEO, who were in Felling at Design Works, Judith. I don't know if you remember them or not.
Yeah.
Their minimum charge for working on the SEO for your website was £1,200 a month on a 12-month minimum contract. And they were the only people in the Northeast who knew, supposedly, how to deal with SEO. But the fact is, you can do it all yourself now. You don't need to pay fortunes to agencies. You just decide what you want to be top of Google for, and then go out and make that happen. You know, and other things come into the computation, like your social score, which is and backlinks to your website, which is why Twitter is so important. And yet loads of people discount it because they think they've got to sit on it all day. But you don't.
Twitter.
You don't. You can just stick with 5 tweets a day going off to your website. You can even use software to do it for you. And that's creating streams of backlinks. But if you use it properly, it's the easiest platform to get free followers on, which increases your social score.
Why Twitter over LinkedIn or Facebook?
Because of the sheer volume that we can put in of backlinks, Morag.
Right.
On Facebook, if you do too many, here's a service I do, go and look at it on my website, nobody's going to interact with that. Facebook aren't going to let anybody see that. Facebook's all about engagement. Instagram, the links don't work unless you pay for them. Right. LinkedIn, again, you mustn't overuse LinkedIn. There may be twice, maybe 3 times a week on a company page on LinkedIn, you could put a link through to your website. But on LinkedIn, you should be only using that for photography if you're doing product photography and commercial photography. You know, and then that's 2 links a week. You've still got to come up with other content. So it's just the nature of how Twitter works, Morag. We can use repetition because of the fact that the only person that's going to see your tweets is those people who are on Twitter, on the app, who refresh their screen at the time that you send out that tweet. So we can use repetition, but we're only doing it for backlinks.
Okay.
It's all about Twitter for purpose.
And
Can
did
I
you say,
just ask, would people be interested in a Twitter workshop?
I don't use Twitter at all. It's just, I mean, I feel overwhelmed with the amount of platforms we have to be on and everything. So I've never used Twitter. So I would be interested, yes, because certainly just to see how useful it is to you would be fascinating.
Yeah.
I think it would be good to learn what you need to do on Twitter as a minimum for your social scoring, like you just said, to be honest.
Yeah.
Amanda, I think that people do get frightened by what they've got to do, but if they realize it's only basic things on a daily basis, but that helps everything else, I think that might be very beneficial to most.
10 minutes a day.
I'm going to put Amanda on the spot here because she always picks on us. So would you do us a Twitter workshop?
No, sod off. Yeah, of course I will. Yeah.
All right, she'll get us back later.
But I will. But 10 minutes a day. I teach a Twitter routine. And I do let you all know I'm just teaching you how to use it for purpose.
Yeah. That's all that's needed.
Twitter routine, 10 minutes a day, spot on. That's all you need to do. And Morag, if you're getting overwhelmed, what you need to do is create a strategy. If you have a strategy around your social media, and I use an Excel spreadsheet, days of the week across the top, platforms down the side, and I put in what I'm going to talk about on which day, on which accounts, and then I just tick it all off as I do it. You know, it takes away that overwhelm. You can even, for me, I'm putting down which clients I'm posting for on which platforms, but you could be putting down what subjects you're going to talk about, whether you're going to share a news article, whether you're going to go and find something that families can do that, you know, that you can share on Facebook that they'll interact with. It's pulling it all together and deciding what you're using each of these individual platforms for.
Just to pick up on something Amanda's just said there, when she said that she does this for clients, Amanda also does client management. So she's got some very big companies where she actually does all their social media platforms. So she actually posts and tweets and does everything for them.
Yeah. I mean, I'm a massive, massive believer, and I've said this all the way through, even some of these clients I've got who I've managed their accounts for 10 years, I will keep saying to them, your management is so much, oh dear, so much better done in-house. Doing your own stuff because you're there, you're in the moment, you've got your cameras in front of you and so on. But if you're not going to do it and you need that social presence, then outsource it.
Can I just say, Amanda, make sure you stay up north with that cough.
No, we can't blame COVID, it's these things.
She's had that cough about 5 years.
All right, missus. All right. Oh, dear.
Have you got any more questions for Amanda?
Amanda, I'm just trying to set my Google console up, and it's asked me to post something on my domain website in order to give it access.
Yeah.
Do you know exactly where you'd go in the domain?
Yeah, into your DNS settings. So this is, you've got to find out who your host is.
Yeah, got that.
So mine's TSO host. And when I go into TSO host, I go onto my control panel.
Yeah.
And within that are your DNS settings. But like I said, you've got to know what you're doing here, because the code that I posted from Google last week changed everybody's email servers as well. So if you're unsure, go on to support from your host. They'll all have online chat support, and get them to talk you through doing it.
All right, super, thank you.
Okay.
If anyone's using Sam, I just contacted him with that. He's already done it for us.
Brilliant.
Literally took him like 2 minutes. It's done.
Yeah. Which amazes me, to be honest, why when the websites were created, it wasn't done for you. Really. I mean, at the end of the day, there's these beautiful websites and Google doesn't even know they're there. You would have thought that's something that would be done from the offie, really.
That's for another day.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
That's for another day. Right, I'm not going to keep you too long, Amanda, because we want you back for Twitter. So I'm going to let you go and
Yeah, I'm going to pop off. I've got a training at 1 o'clock, so I'll see you all later. Good luck.
Thanks very much,
Thanks,
Amanda.
Amanda.
Thank
Bye bye.
you.
Lovely to meet
Thank
you.
you so
Bye.
much.
Bye.
bye all.
Oh.